Hello, everyone. This is your host, Cora Dive, bringing you another foray into the world of mythology. Today, we will be covering Grandfather Chenoo, an Algonquin myth. So, get out any materials that you may need, and let's get to it. Our cast of characters for this will be Nisua, a young wife, Toma, a young husband, the Chenoo, a woodland monster, Winsit, a Chenoo monster, Woman, an elderly traveler, Crow, a blackbird, and Jay, a small bird. Probably a blue jay, I guess. So, now that we know our basics, let's get to it. In the old time, when the world was much different, a young beauty named Nesua married a brave hunter named Toma. The young couple loved the village in which they lived, but they longed for adventure. So, together they decided to journey to a new life in the lonely North Woods, where the land was wilder and still filled with mystery. With their meager belongings strapped on their backs, the couple traveled the forest paths northward. As they did, they passed fewer and fewer settlements until all traces of human life vanished, and the towering firs and spruces seemed to blot out the sun. Well, we've done it, Nasua. We've traveled so far that we've left all civilization behind. I'll miss our families, but I'm glad we have this new adventure together. One day, as they continued northward, the couple was surprised to meet a solitary traveler, an haggard old woman, stumbling along the path. When she noticed Toma and Nasua, she sucked in her breath and drew back as if she'd seen a ghost. "Who are you?" Toma addressed the old woman respectfully. "Hello, grandmother. We mean you no harm. We're traveling farther into the North Woods." "This is not a place for humans to live. Only the Chenoo live here." "Chenoo?" "Woodwalkers. Creatures that feed on human flesh and fill their bodies with dark magic. They can grow as tall as a tree, and no other creature can kill them." Toma smiled kindly at the woman. "Really, grandmother? And where do these creatures come from?" "Stupid boy, don't you know? They were once human, but starvation drove them to eat the flesh of their fellow man. Then their hearts froze, and they became Chenoo." "We're not afraid, grandmother. My husband here is a mighty hunter." Toma swelled with pride at his wife's compliment. Nothing can hunt a Chenoo. They hunt us. The North Woods is not a place to live. It's a place to die." Then the old woman pushed past them and hurried on down the path. "Strange woman. Must be one of your long-lost relatives." The happy couple shrugged off the old woman's warnings and continued northward until they found a spot in the deep woods just perfect for their new life together. "I like it here. It'll be wild and free. You go and hunt each day, and when you bring home a kill, I will cook it up into a tasty meal." Even as Toma and Nasua smiled to one another, a chilly wind blew through the trees and caused them to draw their furry coats closer about them. Their first days in the North Woods were spent building themselves a warm wigwam lodge. As they pulled loose pieces of the underbrush, a noisy bird flew from the thicket. "Chenoo! Chenoo!" Listen to that bird. He's saying Chenoo. It's just your imagination. As the bird disappeared into the distance, Nasua and Toma noticed that all other sounds in the forest had gone silent. No insect chirped, no leaf rustled. Then, between the tops of the towering firs, they saw something moving. Nesua, get down. Toma drew his bow and aimed it toward the tall, shadowy form moving through the firs. 1,000 ghostly whispers accompanied the shadow's passing, and then it was gone. You saw it, didn't you? It was as big as a tree. Probably just a shadow passing across the sun. As winter arrived, Toma went to hunt daily, returning with mighty hills. But his hunting trips took him farther and farther away from the lodge. Nesua spent many days alone. One still, frigid day, when she had gone down to the river's edge to draw water, she felt an unimaginable coldness seize her, as if her body had never known warmth. Standing silently near her was a tall, gaunt form, its skin pale and its eyes wolf-like. Icicles dangled from its brow, and its lips had been gnawed away by its own needle-like teeth. Its fingers, which were long and sharp, were twitching with hunger. She knew instantly it was a Chenoo, and she was its prey. Toma was miles away, and besides, Nesua knew that no man-made weapon was able to harm a Chenoo. There was nothing between her and death except her quick wits. The muscles of the Chenoo tensed, ready to spring. Nesua's instinct was to run, but instead a soft inspiration spoke to her heart. She advanced toward the monster, her face beaming with joy. "Grandfather, there you are!" The Chenoo's yellow eyes opened widely, and it looked side to side. Was this girl addressing it? "Grandfather, we haven't seen you in ages. Where have you been?" The Chenoo had witnessed all kinds of reactions from its victims. Some had shrieked their minds out, and others had wept for mercy. Yet this strange reaction puzzled it, and the monster that could kill in an instant paused. Nesua grabbed the monster's death-cold hand. It sent a stinging chill throughout her entire body, but she held on. Then she led the creature back toward her lodge. "You look absolutely awful, Grandfather. I will have to give you some of my husband's clothes to wear." The Chenoo did look haggard. Its hair was hanging from its head in long white wisps, and she could tell that it was starving, as it always was. Around its mouth was a ring of crusted blood, the only remnants of its lips. The monster's right side was shredded too, just below its pronounced rib cage. "You're wounded." Nesua reached out to touch the wound. "Sss." Nesua, growing more confident, snapped back. "Quiet now. Don't bark at me because you got yourself hurt. And don't you dare come inside our lodge without first going to the river to wash up." The monster narrowed its evil eyes to slits. "To the river at once." Surprisingly, the Chenoo did as the young woman commanded, and padded back down the snowy pathway to the river. "I can't believe that worked. What now? Can I really invite a man-eating monster into my home?" She noticed a crow was perched on the edge of the lodge roof. "Chenoo! Chenoo! Now you tell me." "Okay, I must think quickly. Toma's miles away. My only hope will be to entertain the Chenoo until he returns. Maybe then we can make an escape. Soon the Chenoo returned to the wigwam. Its side had been washed. Nesua clothed it in some of her husband's clothes. She built up the fire, but the Chenoo shrank back from it angrily, its face full of hatred. Oh, that's right, Grandfather. I forgot you prefer the cold. Oh, well, just sit by the wigwam's flap, and we'll leave that open for you. I prefer the heat myself. She offered the Chenoo some food, and it only hissed at the offer. Fine, suit yourself. Keep gnawing your lips off. See if I care. Ignoring the Chenoo's demonic gaze from across the fire, Nesua busied herself. She knew that Toma would return home soon, and she needed a way to warn him of the Chenoo's presence. Grandfather, I must go and chop some wood. I will be back soon. But the Chenoo rose and followed her out of the lodge. This is it. Now he's going to kill me. Nesua stood amazed. Just then she heard a call from the woods. It was Toma, returning from the hunt. Her husband walked into the clearing and stopped dead in its tracks, staring at the sight of his wife standing next to a Chenoo, one dressed in his own clothing. Nesua jumped forward. Yes, it's our grandfather. He's come to stay with us. Isn't that wonderful? Yes, wonderful. Nesua flashed Toma a trust me expression. It's good to see you, Grandfather. Grandfather, you remember Toma, right? Toma, tell Grandfather all about your hunt while I prepare the evening meal. Nesua shooed her husband and the monster inside, and Toma soon fell in with the deception. His words filled the lodge as the Chenoo stared at him over the fire. Nesua offered the Chenoo tobacco and finally a hot meal, but it refused both. Finally, the Chenoo's head began to nod, and it fell asleep. Nesua, what are we going to do? We have a Chenoo in our home. I did the only thing I knew to do. It has saved our lives for now, but the thing is, it's a monster. Tomorrow it will eat us for sure. You can be sure of that. They looked up at one another in shock. Who had spoken? Up in the darkness of the lodge sat a crow, picking at its feathers. You spoke. I've spoken to you before. All you said was Chenoo, Chenoo. Oh, what else did I need to say? You dumb human. Tried to warn you, but did you listen? No. Keep your voice down. Fine. I won't tell you all I know about the Chenoo. Fine, Brother Crow. Tell us about the Chenoo, but quietly and quickly before it awakens. You want to know how that Chenoo got wounded? I saw it all. It grew as tall as a tree and battled a bigger, badder Chenoo. Chenoo are thick in these parts. That's why you don't see many of your kind around here. During the battle, your Chenoo was nearly killed. That's the only reason it hasn't killed you yet. Then why don't you make yourself useful and tell us how to escape? Escape? Impossible. You're completely at that thing's mercy. Even in its weakened state, Chenoo are still deadly. If you tried to run, it'd be upon you. They can skeletalize a human in a minute flat. I've seen it. But Chenoo were once human, right? Can't they turn human again? Impossible. Has a heart of ice and nothing will change it back now. Keeping it here will allow it to grow stronger, and then it's going to eat you both. Then, if there's no hope, leave us in peace. Fine, that's gratitude for you. Ah! The crow took wing and flew out of the lodge doorway. Toma and Nesua settled down by the fire and clung to each other all night, sure that any moment they would feel the bloody claws of the monster tearing at their flesh. But when morning came, the Chenoo rose from sleep, its features still grim and its gaze hateful. Good morning, Grandfather. Would you care for some breakfast? Psst. Your skin and bone. You should eat something. Don't encourage it. Toma must go and hunt, Grandfather, but you and I will stay here. Nesua, I refuse to leave you here. Nothing will harm me, husband. I have my dear grandfather to protect me. She patted the bony hand of the monster, who looked back at her with a mixture of hatred and confusion. Toma did not wish to go, but a stern look from Nesua sent him out the door. Toma feared the worst, but when he returned, he found his wife and the Chenoo just as he had left them. Look, Grandfather, Toma has returned, and with such a fine kill, too. Perhaps you will share a bit of stew with us? Blah. Days passed, and every day the couple was sure that this would be the day the Chenoo would eat them. But the hours passed without event, and as they told stories by the fire, the Chenoo fell asleep once again. A few days later, Toma returned from his hunt with a mighty kill, a moose. When the Chenoo saw this, it spoke for the first time, with words that seemed to claw their way up its throat like a deadly whisper. I will eat. Yes, Grandfather, of course. Nesua prepared to cut the meat. Not the meat. Boil the fat. So Nesua heated the fat of the moose over the fire, and the Chenoo neared the pot hungrily. It drank down the liquefied fat in one giant slurp. It would eat that? Better that than us. Now do you feel better, Grandfather? Without another word, the Chenoo laid down to sleep. It ate. Yes, I think something has changed. It was true. The creature was still a Chenoo with an icy heart, but it had yielded somewhat to the power of kindness, which has a magic all its own. The Chenoo stayed with Toma and Nesua all winter. Its voice grew stronger and stronger until one night, by the glow of the lodge fire, it told its story. My name is Elak, which means harmful. I was a man once, but then I committed a deadly deed. I ate the flesh of my fellow humans, and my heart turned to ice. I have not been a Chenoo long for that reason. I am one of the weakest of my kind. Our strength comes from the number of hearts we have eaten, and I have eaten none. That is good, Grandfather. Eating hearts is not respectable. It is for Chenoo. If I do not eat hearts, my heart will be eaten. Soon my enemy, Winset, will return to destroy me once and for all. But this time I will defeat him, and I will eat his heart. Then I will return to my full strength. Rather than consoling them, the words of the Chenoo chilled Toma and Nesua, and so Toma refused to leave his wife alone with the Chenoo any longer. Go, hunt, he will not harm me. What about that business of eating a heart? I won't leave you. We will just eat from our stores of dried meat and smoked fish. But the Chenoo tired of this food. Has my grandson forgotten how to hunt? Hardly. This food is pitiful. I will show you how to hunt. Come. Toma knew he had no choice, so he and the Chenoo disappeared into the forest. As soon as they had gone, Nasua heard the voice of the crow in the trees behind her. I've never seen a Chenoo play with his food as long as this one has. He's not just a Chenoo. He's part of our family. Trust me, lady, that thing is not part of your family. I saw it leading your husband off into the woods. Guess you better get used to being a widow. You'll see, grandfather will not eat us. At the end of the day, Toma and the Chenoo returned. Toma looked somewhat stunned, and the Chenoo was holding the corpse of a giant lizard, smiling. What is that, Toma? I've never seen a lizard so large. This was the strangest day of my life. Grandfather made us snowshoes, and he moved across the snow so quickly I could hardly keep up. It was my Chenoo magic. Then we stopped near a spring, and this giant lizard reared its head up from the ground. I thought it would slay us for sure, but grandfather cut off its head with a single swipe of his claws. I conjured it up from a tiny lizard. I couldn't have carried this creature on my own, but grandfather carried us both here on his shoulders as if it were nothing. True, I am growing stronger, but I won't have my full strength until I eat a heart. Now, cook up this lizard, granddaughter. We will eat. The people of Toma and Nasua did not eat reptiles, and the thought of doing so turned their stomachs. But they did not want to offend the Chenoo, so they did as he requested. They found it almost tasty. Winter passed, the deep snows melted, and the shoots of grass began to emerge from the snow. But the Chenoo remained. One day the crow flew into their camp and began cawing rapidly to the Chenoo. Kakakooch has brought me news. It has told me that Winzit, my old enemy, has at last found my hiding place here with you. He is coming to kill me. That bird always did know how to deliver bad news. Now I must face Winzit, and one of us must die. Nasua felt a pain in her heart. She truly did not want the Chenoo to die. No, grandfather, let Toma fight with you. No, granddaughter. The war whoop of a Chenoo is enough to kill a human, so sharp and shrill that it will pierce your brain like an arrow. You and my grandson must go to a cave that I will show you and plug up your ears with moss. Otherwise you will die, and I cannot bear that. The Chenoo asked Nasua to bring him his bundle, which had hung on a tree untouched all winter. From the satchel he produced 2 golden bright horns. These are the horns of a great serpent. Take this, grandson. If you are ever at the point of death from a Chenoo, thrust this into his ear and it will kill him. The Chenoo rose sadly. Kakakooch will show you a cave nearby where you must hide yourselves. I will face Winzit. Perhaps I will eat a heart after all. Then a more human look came into Elak's eyes. I thank you for making me welcome in your home. Elak began to grow until he was as tall as a tree. Then he turned and disappeared between the firs. Okay, humans, don't just stand there with your mouths hanging open. Follow me before you hear the Chenoo's cries and your brains leak out your ears. The couple allowed the crow to lead them away from camp. Oh, I hope Elax survives. Well, either way, you're in trouble. If Winsett wins, he'll find you and eat you. If Elac wins, he'll eat Winsett's heart and absorb all his evil. Then Elac will eat you. Either way, you're dinner. Your little family act will be over. Toma looked down to the horn in his hand. Then that means I must use the horn. If Winsett wins, I kill him. And if Elac wins, I must kill him. But he's our grandfather. No, he's only a Chenoo. He was once a man. He can be one again. Nesua drew up and stopped her advance. Toma turned to her in surprise. Go ahead without me. I'm going to pray. There is no time. I will not be far behind. Only a quick prayer. Toma knew this wife's mind was set, so he continued on, and Nesua began her prayer. Spirit above, show me a way to save Elac, my grandfather. It was then that a jaybird alighted on a branch of a spruce near her. Take the plant you see growing at your feet. Nesua saw a plant with a bright red flower. It was a type of plant she had never seen before. Grind the blossom and mix it with water. You will have to make your Chenoo drink it before he eats the heart of the other Chenoo. If he eats the heart, his humanity will be lost forever. Thank you, thank you. Then the bird flittered away, and Nesua hurried to catch up to Toma. He and the crow awaited her at the cave entrance. Who was that bird you were talking to? I've never seen it before in my life. I think it was a glooskap, the great protector in the heavens. Looked like a blue jay to me. In the darkness of the cave, Toma and Nesua plugged their ears with moss, and they helped the crow do the same. Just then, their stuffed ears began to sting. Ugh, what is that? The war whoop of the Chenoo is so powerful that it hurts, even when it cannot be heard. Then they felt the battle between the Chenoo had begun. The ground began to buck and shiver like it was alive. Their very bones vibrated within them, and they feared the whole earth would be destroyed. I can't stand it. I must go outside and see what is going on. I'm coming too. Toma and Nesua exited the cave and stood in awe of what they saw. The two giant Chenoo had leveled the nearby forest. There stood Winsett, the sight of whom was enough to drive anyone mad. His eyes bulged, his fangs dripped with blood, and his demonic horns pierced the sky. With his vicious claws, he had pinned Elac to the ground. Now, pathetic weakling, I take your life. I will feast upon your heart. Winsett struck at Elac's head, but the weakened Chenoo managed to dodge. Toma and Nesua climbed to the edge of a rocky ledge. Help me, my grandchildren. You fool! Who would help you? You're a demon like me. No one cares if you live or die. We care. What? The vile Chenoo turned toward Nesua's voice, his eyes blazing with fire. And when he did, Toma saw his chance. He leapt from the rocky ledge, grabbing onto the Chenoo's monstrous earlobe, and drove the horn into the creature's ear canal. The horn, finding its target, struck, lengthened until it came out the other side of Winzet's head. Winzet crashed lifeless to the ground, and the impact shook its entire forest. Elok staggered to his feet and rejoiced at the sight of his dead enemy. I have won. I have won. Now I will feast on his art. His power will be mine. Mine. Wait, grandfather. Standing on the ledge, Nasua raised a birch bark cup of water into which she had mixed the special flour. You must drink. Your fight must have made you thirsty. Drink this first. No, the heart, that's what I need. Grandfather, listen to my wisdom. Drink first. The enraged face of the Chenoo started to soften. All right, just for you, granddaughter. Elok took the drink from her hand and gulped it down. A strange look came into his eyes, and he dropped the cup. His shoulders drooping, he began to shrink back down to his former size, finally collapsing into a heap upon the ground. There Elok retched until he coughed up a clump of ice in the shape of a man. The man-shaped ice clump melted away, and so did all the monstrous features of Elok, until he looked like nothing more than a withered old man. Toma and Nasua climbed down from their rocky perch to be at his side. Grandfather, grandfather! My children, you are human once again. I knew you could return to us. You saved me. Your kindness saved me. From that day forward, Elok lived with Toma and Nasua in peace. And when the couple had children, he was the kindest of grandfathers. They were troubled no more by monsters of any size, for everyone had heard of Toma and Nasua, the slayers of the Chenoo. Well, now that was quite pleasing, how kindness turned an icy heart back to normal. And they say that that can happen. Even the most hurt of people, when treated with kindness, can heal. Well, that is the end of Grandfather Chenoo. We'll bring you another foray into the world of mythology next time. For now, this is your host, Cora Dive, signing off.